Well, in April, we saw the first tank of radioactive waste disposed from the Hanford Nuclear Site. There's around 56 million gallons of radioactive and hazardous waste left over at Hanford, with much of it stored in underground tanks prone to leaking. For months, a process called vitrification has been used to turn radioactive waste into a stable glass form, meeting quality standards for permanent disposal. But the Department of Energy says they want a different approach called grouting. To suss out what's going on, we're joined by the reporter behind this story, Ty Beaver of the Tri-Cities Area Journal of Business. Thank you for being here, Ty.
Thank you for having me, Sabira.
So to start, can you explain what grouting is?
So grouting is another type of way of treating the radioactive waste. Instead of vitrifying it, which is making it into a stable glass form, it's a more cement-like mixture that the waste is put into after it's been pre-treated.
Why would the Department of Energy want to take this dual route instead of using vitrification?
In my conversations with Ray Geimer, the director of the Hanford Field Office, there's a few different reasons. One is that apparently vitrification, while it is moving forward, they're still in the midst of hot commissioning, which is basically preparing the facility for full operation. It is bottlenecked because when they have to pre-treat the waste before they vitrify it, and they can only vitrify, they only have so much storage space for that pre-treated waste before it can go through. So they want to basically reroute some of that pre-treated waste to go through grouting so that waste can continue to be treated and disposed of and keep cleanup moving. There's also the cost consideration. Grouting is estimated to cost a fraction of the cost of what vitrification costs. Those vary on what source you talk to, but we're talking like 10% of what it would cost to vitrify.
Well, my question,
per gallon.
Yeah, and my question here next is safety. So vitrification has been touted as safe and environmentally friendly. We're hearing from you that grouting is not as expensive and a little quicker. So does grouting present the same levels of safety then?
The federal government would say that grouting is a still stable and safe way to store the waste, especially since 99% of the radioactivity is removed as part of the pre-treatment process before it would be grouted. But there are a number of folks, namely the Hanford Watchdog, Hanford Challenge, the tribal nations, environmental groups, and others who counter that grout is not as stable, it's not as secure, it doesn't hold in the radioactivity as well. It can still leach out, and it also you're putting the waste into another material, and so you're essentially creating more of something to store it safely. And they also point out that the volume of that grout will be more than what the federal government is saying it will be.
Well, that's interesting to definitely keep an eye on that. And is there a chance that the Department of Energy would pivot entirely to grouting instead of vitrification?
I don't know. The vitrification plant is operating, though it is in hot commissioning, like I said. Ray Geimer with the Hanford Field Office, he told me that they are committed to continuing to put waste through vitrification as much as they can. They just also want to keep cleanup moving forward.
Well, Tim Walsh, the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Energy, actually wrote an op-ed for your outlet. Can you explain his message to readers in the Tri-Cities?
His message was basically that that grouting is a tried and true method, and that we can't just rely on vitrification alone for the cleanup at the Hanford site. And so that's why he's proposing the glass and grout path that DOE is proposing to the Department of Ecology so they can update their permits.
All right, Ty Beaver, thank you for your reporting. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.